Hey people, introduced 3v3 Faction War. This is Argent Shelf Redux and Chaos Space Marines versus Tyranids. For the Blue Chaos team, we have two Plague Champions. First up is the Tenso, and this is Uncle Rostam. These guys fight in ranged combat by default with the damage of a time bolt gun, can get melee weapons with some strong utility and support. Rounding off this team is Katla with a Chaos Lord. Durable and destructive hero, walks through objects and cannot be suppressed with powerful offense and disruption, fighting mainly in melee. Looks like the Iron Warriors elite scheme here. Did we have any others? This is the World Eaters elite scheme from Rostam, and Tenso with some custom scheme, I think. Red Tyranid team, triple Hive Tyrant stomping around. We've got wenDi, Yazoul, Samaiel, and Hiveminion. These guys are very durable fellas, walk through objects and cannot be suppressed with powerful disruption and support to begin in melee combat with a basic synapse. What are we going to call them? Let's go for Simon, Santiago, and Salvador. And good luck stopping this double Hive Tyrants in a 2v2 in first engagement. Is going to be very, very difficult to stop for these Chaos fellas. Triple Heretics for the Tenso and for Uncle Rostam. Gotta be trying to be efficient with these Doom Blasts here. With all these Heretics, got to try and get in amongst the maximum amount of units, amount of models I should say, to get those Doom Blasts off well. Because you are spending Heretics to do these, which costs you Requisition to reinforce. I mean, not a lot. Is it 13 Requisition these days? But it adds up. Chaos Lord gets away. Plague Champion coming inward from a flank kind of thing. Might see a Doom Blast and run. Nope, they're just going to run. Where are the Hormigons? Oh, these guys are on retreat path. Might finish off those fellas. I think they're going to be okay. wenDi's Hormigons are there on the other side, and Hiveminions are already off the field. So perhaps some rending talons for these fellas with all these Heretics around. Especially on that west side for wenDi, because it's going to be, whoa, lots of dead stuff already. Going to be quite narrow here. It's a lot of dead stuff. Spawn mines going off on these Heretics. Damage of a time. Are they going to get away? One more tick and those guys wipe. What about these fellas? Looks like they're going to be barely getting away there. 3 hit points, maybe even lower at some point. Meanwhile, oh, the Plague Champion's gone down. This is Uncle Rostam with, looks like they had black grenades up. They might have died trying to get into position to throw them. Maybe they did throw them and everything ran off. Look at these Hive Tyrants, they've barely been touched. And now Hiveminion Salvador has got the warp field up to be even more annoying to deal with early on. Combi Flamer maybe. Running up to the Termigans and just immolating them would be pretty good. Another Doom Blast there. An Aspiring Champion comes in for these Heretics. These are Katlas. But they get a fancy shoulder pad, that Aspiring Champion. That's pretty cool. Those are Chaos Marines with Bolt Pistol and Chainsword. Pretty good melee fighters early on. Don't think the Black Grenades had been tossed because he's still got 100 energy here. Any Aspiring Champion for Rostam? Yes. And I think the World Eaters fellas get fancy shoulder pads as well. It's all about those shoulder pads. Simon, the Hive Tyrant, has to flee. Meanwhile, wenDi is harassing the contested power there. Some Nurgle worship from Rostam. Got double CSM into Noise Marines for Katla. That should be pretty strong early on if they can keep the Noise Marines safe from the Hive Tyrants just tying them up. These fellows want to touch the power, I guess. Ravener brewed up for Yazoul, Samaiel. And Raptors on the way for Uncle Rostam. Chaos have pushed back pretty well here. Yeah, here's the Aspiring Champion for the World Eaters. Look at those. Very, very spiky shoulder pads. Do some work. They could do some damage, those things. Who needs a Doom Blast? Just stab people in the eyes with your shoulders. Touch of Nurgle. That's a very early Touch of Nurgle on these Heretics from the Tenso. Got a bunch of red for killing tons of Tyranids here. That's a global ability of the Plague Champion. Explodes units on death, dealing damage and knocking back enemies and healing allies. It's super powerful. That's why it's quite expensive these days at 175 red. Havocs are being disrupted. Now caught in melee. Looks like they are going to be alright. The Tenso's gone for the Bile Spew, a fantastic weapon here. But they are being doubled by Yazoul and wenDi. wenDi took some heavy losses. So they're getting some support. Gonna get the VP back, I think. Might want to get another unit up in tier 1. Although their resources are quite low. They did also get the warp field up. Chaos now pushing against the power. There's the Noise Marines doing their stuff. That Sonic Blaster will shut down ranged attacks and do some good damage too, especially to enemy structures like generators. Raptors in the background there from Rostam. They can get onto the Termagants, really mess things up. Hive Tyrant starting to come under pressure. This is Salvador running off now. Santiago's off in the mid, fighting a whole bunch of heretics. Still don't see any Rending Kalons. I guess they're dealing with the heretics okay so far. We've got a warrior brood up for Yazoul Samaiel. Start off as a power melee unit. They do provide a basic synapse, so that'll help when the Hive Tyrant is not around. Synapses don't stack, but you can affect your allied Tyranid buddies with synapses as well. Ouch. Heretics with an aspiring champion, and they wipe. Those were Katlas. We've got tier 2 from the Tenso and Katla here. Might see some relatively quick blood crushers that could do some good work here. Hormagaunts with adrenal glands on retreat path. Looks like the Noise Marines are going to be okay. Got some more Noise Marines here. Katla with double. And they cacophony and run away. Can they get onto the power here, these fellas? It's going to be... Not going to have a lot of time to bash it. So much dead stuff on this west side. I'm loving it. Havoc's moving up, trying to keep the pressure on this power point so they don't concede the VP. Bile Spirit is pretty good at bashing power. Not as amazing as it was. As you can see there, it's bashing that node. Seems like it's like half as good as it once was at bashing power. Still pretty damn good though for a single entity. And the weapon is just great all round at other things as well. That constant debuff on hit and some good damage, and the Bilious Discharge is great. One way you can slow down the Hive Tyrant, of course. Debuffing these Raveners. Can they get a model off them? The damage is evenly spread, as you can see. Havocs get messed up, being attacked in retreat now by the Hive Tyrant. And we've got extended Carapace for wenDi that allows them to charge. So you can counter setup teams with that, especially if you have your shield up at the same time. Any war gear for Yazoul? Nope. And still the warp field up for Hiveminion, leveled up to 2. All of them are level 2. No, they're not. wenDi is still level 1. Got a level 3 Plague Champion for the Tenso. It's got a lot of stuff. Almost level 2 for Uncle Rostam. Not sure if he's chucked that grenade yet. He must have. And Mantle of Hate for the Chaos Lord. Was expecting Armor of the Inferno for these Tyranid blobs. But we'll see what the Mantle of Hate can do. Drain life. Maybe to mess with a Warrior Brood model or the Raveners. There's a good Blight Grenade throw. Raptors jumping into the back lines. Now these guys suppress when they land. And they did an extra burst there, which is why those Raveners were suppressed. That double Blastmaster, this it is. I've said this before, but I do think Sonic Blasters are kind of slept on once Chaos players get to tier 2. They do scale really well, I think. But it's hard to turn down a good old Blastmaster, right? Because of that. The Hive Tyrants. Santiago. And, oh, wenDi's over here. Simon's over here to join the party. Where is Salvador? Salvador's off the field. Got some Marco Zinch CSM from Katla. With their aspiring champion, gets that demonic plasma gun. Gives them really good anti-infantry damage, especially to enemy heroes, as you see here. They go down, Yazoul, and also to heavy and super heavy infantry units, such as the Warrior Brood. And this Tyrant Guard that we see from Hiveminion. Hiveminion, known for his Tyrant Guard play, used to get double Tyrant Guards out once upon a time. Not quite so favoured these days, though. Oh, Ravener's Burrow struck right into the path of Havoc's there. We've got a Chaos Dreadnought for the Tenso. Forcing wenDi to respond to it with anti-vehicle, and they are depleted here. They need some assistance. Spawn mines coming out of this capillary tower. But not going to help against the Chaos Dreadnought. It's got an autocannon by default, and a very mean looking heavy melee claw there. More aspiring champion heretics. 2 coming in for the Tenso. Full bash and a decap there. Ripper's getting in amongst the Noise Marines. Here's that Tyrant Guard. 2,500 hit points of super heavy infantry armor. Powerful melee thing. Not sure why Uncle Rostam Pestilence Strike over there. Strange place to do it. Also got Armor of Pestilence alongside that Plague Fist. To smack some stuff. There's a grenade. Did hit his own Raptors. So needs to be careful, yeah, because that, as you can see, it spread from the Raptors to the Heretics. The Blight Grenade's effect will spread to allied units. But it won't spread from allies to enemies and vice versa. They need to be in the initial explosion first. Bloodletter's up for Uncle Rostam. Typically a pretty good choice against Tyranids. They do some really good damage to the Tyrant Guard, although it's a dicey fight for them. Not going to try and get the decap here, Hiveminion. Does have Rending Talons though. And improved Synapse, which just buffs the basic Synapse. More health for everything, which is pretty good. Does it affect... No, it doesn't affect the Tyrant Guard. Which is kind of annoying. Allied non-hero. I guess it's not infantry then, eh? I guess it technically counts as a vehicle. We do have Lightning Claws for the Chaos Lord. Icon of Khorne too. And that Mantle of Hate, of course. Icon of Khorne is heal on hit. Meanwhile, west side, wenDi is taking the power back and has got a Tyrant Guard of their own. Hive Tyrants can spawn them from their global bar, which is pretty handy. Probably looking at tier 3s now from the Chaos players. Uncle Rostam now going for the Mucus Discharge. Lots of resources spent on these two Chaos heroes. They really need to pull their weight now, because that's delaying their tier 3 quite a lot. 458 to 217. Venom Brood up for wenDi to help counter this Chaos Dreadnought. We might see the Hive Tyrant just go in and try and tie him up. Although maybe tying up the Plague Champion would be better. The Tyrant Guard does have heavy melee damage, and he will do decent work against the Chaos Dreadnought. Look at this though. This autocannon is starting to shred stuff. The Havoc's autocannon is insane. There's some really good damage to the Tyrant Guard there. Spore Mines did get a detonation off. This is weird. Those Havocs were definitely being tied up and they were still shooting. Burrow Strike. Really well timed Burrow Strike there just as those guys were setting up. And they would have unleashed a volley on the Hive Tyrant. That might have killed it. Oh, Noxious Cloud from the Tenso. wenDi gets caught. Venom Brood barely getting away. And these are the Tenso's Noise Marines too. Getting messed up on retreat by the Tyrant Guard. It's got around 90 odd heavy melee DPS with a 15 damage splash on hit. To put that into context, Dreadnoughts, melee Dreadnoughts have a 100 splash on hit. Sorry, 40. It's 100 DPS and 40 splash. So not quite as good as Dreadnoughts at tearing through stuff in melee, but pretty damn good. Especially since they attack a lot faster. So it does make up for the fact that their splash damage on hit is lower. Double Marco Zinch CSM for Katla here. And there's the tier 3. That was Aura of Decay from the Plague Champion knocking stuff down. Smack. Going for the Blight Grenades again. So the Mucus Discharge. Breath of Noble Heal must be in cooldown. I was going to die anyway. Ran into a Rending Talons Hive Tyrant. Chaos Lord's getting a cap though. And looks like, look at this. It's back on the VP over here. The Tenso. So they might get a triple cap. And they've got a decent VP lead already. Uh-oh. No triple cap. Chaos Lord goes down. Katla just losing sight. They didn't replace the Heretics, I don't think. Zone Thrope up here for Hiveminion. Quite a heavy tier 2 then. Because we've got a fully kitted Hive Tyrant, Tyrant Guard, and Zone Thrope. And some other upgrades here and there, I'm sure. Chaos Terminators on the field for the Tenso. Maybe some Gene Stealers in response then. I wonder if wenDi would have stayed in tier 2. Try and get some Gene Stealers out, but they would have to contend with the Pillage Discharge. Tyrant Guard gets in amongst them. They do have Power Fist though. Uh-oh. That was a suicide mission by those Raveners. They burrow struck in with one model and like a slither of health. Looks like the Tyrant Guard is going to go down here. It's gone into shield wall, but not sure it's going to be enough to save it, because those are power fists. Not sure what Simon the Hive Tyrant is up to here. Seems to be stuck. Seems to be very stuck. That is weird. Oh, we got a nuke. That's a nuke from Katla because it's red. The Imperial Abyss. Looks like Hiveminion did spot it and get out of there. Taking some damage on retreat. Are you okay now, Simon? You worked out how to move and attack things. There we go. He's alright. Just had a bit of a moment. All the Hive Tyrants are here now. Staggered retreat, staggered teleport, I should say, from the Chaos Terminators. But they got away. Going for a res, says Katla. That means this Plague Champion here, they're going for that. Level 3 Chaos Lord. Level 3 Plague Champion. Could level up really fast if he gets a few good Black Grenade throws. Chaos Lord's going to smack some Hormagaunts. They just ran away from his Lightning Claws there. Big flank from Yazoul. We have the Psychic Scream here. Gonna get a revive that will level Katla to 4. Raptors hit level 2. Looks like they went into base. And double Bloodletters for Rostam. They've stayed in tier 2 with double Bloodletters. Could be super powerful, but if they can get the Carnifex train going, they're gonna fall off a bit. And there's always gonna be something for them to go for, I guess. Meanwhile, west side, Reaper autocannon for the Chaos Terminators, but wenDi did get the VP. They're contesting this VP reasonably well, considering how many units they've had on the field for long periods here. Big retreat. What is this? It's Raveners called in. No, it's not. It's without number, not Raveners. There's no Ravener Alphas. This is without number from wenDi, just to reinforce their lines a bit. Gives you some upgraded Termagants and some upgraded Hormagaunts. I don't think it's an especially good global, but helps in a pinch, I guess. Very efficient power bash from the Tenso. Gonna get that decapped as well. Meanwhile, though, it's 3v2 basically over here. Blast Masters might get some good hits. That was a good hit. And another one. Only one of them died, eh? Capillary Tower. Oh, it's a Tyrant formation. Really messed up Katla stuff. Looks like the Chaos Lord survives, though. Here comes Rostam. Does have aspiring champion Raptors to jump in there. And now some chosen Plague Marines. Hell of a melee force. Double Bloodletters, Raptors, chosen Plague Marines, and double melee Heretics too, not to mention the Plague Champion himself. It's a hell of a melee force. And look at this, gone for the Icon of Nurgle. It's got all 3 Plague Champion accessories to choose from now. But look at that, they got wrecked. They got absolutely wrecked. The splash damage of the Tyrant Guard doing massive amounts of work there. And the Hive Tyrant himself has Crushing Claws. Santiago. Tyranids have the 2-to-1. What do we got west side? We have Hiveminions, Hive Tyrant, Salvador going for the VP here. There's a Nurgle Shrine up, and we have a Neurothrope for Hiveminion. Unique unit, can only have one of them. Really good at dealing with clumps of infantry. Doesn't regenerate energy itself, needs to use abilities to get energy back, which makes it a bit of a pain to manage, but it's not that difficult to do. Has some pretty simple abilities to get energy back. Tyrant Guard backing away from that scary autocannon, so is the Hive Tyrant of wenDi. Simon's shield goes down, but they're gonna get a triple cap here momentarily, I think. Oh, great unclean one up here for Katla. What a great matchup to get a great unclean one in, eh? Tyranids. Lots of squishy things to mash up. Chosen Plague Marines have a little bit of XP. They are trying to bash these capillary towers here. Looks like they can't attack that one. It's unfortunate for those fellas. What is this? Oh! The Plague Champion of the Tenso snuck through and got a cap on the VP. He's also gone for the Icon of Nurgle. That'd be cool to see 2 of them alongside each other. that passive damage. 329 to 94. 2-1 now for Chaos. Gonna have a lot of VPs to play with here, the Tyranids, and they're grabbing the west side back. Tyrant Guard very slowly making its way back to safety. No, it wants to fight. Tyrant Guard are very slow when they're not under Synapse. Ouch, took a direct hit from the Noise Marines there. Needs to go into shield wall, I think. Should not have gone back into play there. It's a big mistake from wenDi. Does have a Carnifex up. Carnifex on the way for the other two players as well. I mean, coming out at just the right time, mate. A few minutes longer. Carnifexes would have been too late, I think. Can they hold the line here, the Tyranids? It's pretty important that they hold the line right now and don't let the Chaos through onto their natural. But they do have a great unclean one to contend with. Salvador, the Hive Tyrant, getting stuck in with those rending talons. Doing some good work. Can he get away safely, though? Maybe. Maybe not. Chaos Lord stabbed him in the back with those lightning claws. These Chaos Space Marines, double Mark of Tzeentch, weren't really touched there. 329 to 58. That was Cataclysm from the Neuro Throat. Looks like wenDi getting straight back onto the VP, but does have some help from Yazoul. Carnifex is up, it's gone for the Barb Strangler. Although it's getting into melee at the moment to tie up those Terminators. Maybe that's another Noxious Cloud. It's so nasty, isn't it? Wow, wenDi's down to just Carnifexes now, and Yazoul got messed up by that Noxious Cloud. Chaos Lord is on the VP. Fully built up power here from the Tyranids. I guess this western one got hit quite a lot. Yeah, they're just going to bash it. They don't need to steal it here. Although, this one is not built up. Chaos Predator almost up for the Tenso. It's quite narrow here. Could be a little bit dicey for a tank. Can the Tyranids get their natural back in good time here? 329 to 25. Got a lot of VPs to make up. Over 300, as you can see. Carnifex of Hiveminion gone for the Thorn back. Gives it more hit points. And it can Stampede. I don't know if it actually gets more melee damage. It doesn't mention that in the tooltip. Just wrecks those Noise Marines there. Now fighting a Chaos Lord. Big chunks of damage as you'd expect. And look at the size of those claws. And the Carnifex for Yazoul also has Thornback. 324 to 22. The 2-1 for Tyranids is in. Plague Champion Disability is discharged all over himself. It's the Nurgle way. And the Chaos Predator's gone for the Mark of Tzeentch. That's to combat the enemy Carnifexes, which have vehicle armor. Although they do slowly regenerate health. Getting shots in here. It's being tied up. Taking big hits from that Carnifex. It might not be able to get away. The Carnifex can just chase into base. It's not threatened by the base turrets. Tyrant formation. For those shots from the Barb Strangler. Those guys were saved from the wrath of the Hive Tyrant by the Capillary Towers coming up out of the ground there. Simone wants to wreck some stuff. Found the Plague Champion. It's a lot of damage. The tank. Oh, the tank survives. We had the autocannon from the Terminators helping to take down the Carnifex. I think that's a push I probably would have done myself. So that's maybe slightly unlucky for Yazoul Samaiel to find those Terminators there. But I'm not sure, even without those Terminators, if they would have got the product tank. It's not guaranteed. That was foul snare from the Great Unclean One to pull those Raveners in. This guy also passively damages nearby enemies because he's just really bad smell. Just to fight him. Does Salvador. Got some good hits there with the Crushing Claws. Uh-oh, Yazoul Samaiel found some Lightning Claws, didn't like it, and goes down. Poor Santiago. Might get revived though. And that should level up Salvador, I think. Can they escape the wrath of this Chaos Lord and those Terminators? These are Katla's Chaos Terminators. Could not risk the revive there. I don't think he would have got it. Carnifex still in play. And Yazoul did get his second Carnifex up. It's gone for the Thorn back again. Not a whole lot of anti-vehicle here. In fact, the Chaos Terminators go for Lightning Claws. They can't heavy melee power fist the Carnifex. Down goes the Chaos Lord. Should get revived though from there. Going to see Mark of Tzeentch on this Predator tank again. Carnifex might need to charge out. Here comes the other one though. I don't think they should push this here. Pretty sure Hiveminion saw the tank, that's why they're backing off. 164 to 22, double cap. I think one of them should be helping the west side maybe. At least trying to split. wenDi only has double Spore Mines. Does have a Swarm Lord on the way. We've done an amazing job to get the Chaos team this low with the amount of trouble wenDi's had on that west side, let's say. We've had a rough game. It's a Noxious Cloud, I think. Yeah. There's a Brood Nest up, but those Lightning Claw Terminators are terrifying against any infantry target, including heroes. Melee Carnifexes should do reasonably well. This one goes down though. Great and King One's back into the fray. Tyrant formation again. Chosen Plague Marines doing their thing. These guys can create Nurgle zombies by using their Nurgle's Erupt ability. Trying to keep the pressure up here to Tyranids, but did they overextend a little bit here? I think having the Carnifexes this far forward without a lot of support is super risky. But I mean, they're down to 22 VPs, they can't afford really to back off, I suppose, because wenDi can't hold the west side. Swarm Lord is coming towards the center. Carnifex versus Great Unclean One. Has to charge away. Neurothrope also in retreat here. Chaos Lord's done well. Level 6 now, getting that heal on hit from the Icon of Khorne. Hive Tyrant is chasing him down. Those double Mark of Tzeentch system have quietly been pumping out tons of DPS. I feel like they haven't been targeted a lot. Swarm Lord is in trouble. Double Mark of Tzeentch tanks shooting the crap out of it. And Auto Cannon Terminators. 91 to 15. It's going to go down. wenDi's just had one of those games that we all have. Got hit by a couple of perfect Noxious Clouds. Has overextended here and there. Some really odd plays like Burrow striking that single Ravener with like 10 hit points in. That was a bit weird. And sending that Hive the Tyrant Guard back in when it was super low. That's what happens when you start losing stuff. You know, you make dodgy decisions. Swarm Lord on the way for Yazoul, but I think it's going to be too little, too late. wenDi literally has no other units on the field, just the Hive Tyrant. Tyrant Guard with a big old smash special attack. Then goes down. Nuke if you can, says Yazoul. To try and stop the cap, I suppose. There's the Paroxysm and the Cataclysm coming in. Gets it done. The Tenso didn't have Armor of Pestilence. Bloodletter straight onto the Neurothrope's case though. There's the 2-1. And there is the victory. Strong performance from the Chaos team. And is actually well played by Yazoul and the Hiveminion to keep things going in the mid. But wenDi had a bit of a rough game, let's say. Hive Tyrant was level 4. Fully kitted out. He had a level 5 Santiago, and Salvador was level 6. Poor Simon. Plague Champion here, level 8. Massive amounts of work on that west side from the Tenso. Maybe you should have got a little bit more support, wenDi, but it's tough. You know, you go over there and you lose the mid. Level 5 Plague Champion for Uncle Rostam and level 6 Chaos Lord for Katla down at the end there. But there you have it, guys. Thank you for watching. Big thanks to these players for taking part for our amusement in these faction war events and for Impregnable hosting such things. I'll see you next time.